Hi. Hi, today is May the 11th, and I would like to start off first and foremost by speaking about, and this was given permission by Heidi Baker. Heidi Baker gave me permission. She was speaking at the Behold Him Now conference over at Raleigh. Heidi Baker has stated a few things. This is the third conference that she has been in which she had wished to formally meet me. She was wearing a silver necklace to support me in the elimination of betting schedules, or what I call them, and raping schedules. Heidi Baker has also witnessed healings that was over at Raleigh at the conference. Miracles and physical healings as well as there were. So I have to get this right. She is in full support. She has also she has my email address and my phone number. She is a little. I'm not gonna. She is in full support of me receiving money. She has invited me to go to Africa. So that's what I wanted to say first and foremost about Heidi Baker. They were expecting me at that conference, and Heidi Baker is in full support of me when she wears her silver necklace. She's in full support of me and has my email address, and so I'm not name dropping. The other thing I would like to speak about first and foremost as well is about the fact that's why she wanted me to mention the fact that the reason why I cannot enter the United States is because of the senior leaders of Cash Fire Toronto, Murray and Ash, and the ambassador Sandra Long. The reason why I cannot enter the United States for 5 years is because of their defamation of character and the fact that when I was going down in November for Samaritan's Purse to Boone and to help out with Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton in Florida, where Sandra Long and Ash has contacted the Port Authority in Detroit, and I was pat searched in a holding cell because Ash had stated that I was carrying over crystal methadone. Heidi Baker found this out, and Heidi Baker was upset at the fact that I could not enter. She wanted to meet me in Oklahoma with the It's Time conference there at the Broken Arrow Church, and Harvest Broken Arrow, I believe it's called, Harvest Church, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, in the Tulsa area. And she wanted to meet me over at Cash Fire Raleigh because she thought that I would be there. In fact, I was supposed to be there, but she was upset because of the fact that I couldn't go because of what Ash had done, and because of what Sandra Long had done, and because of what Murray had done. And she wears a silver necklace to support me and to recognize what I've done with the eliminations of bettings, with what has happened with the members of the organization that have taken over Toronto and that have taken over parts of Raleigh, in the sense that Jessica now has become a jackal, Justin Rife is a hyena, Aaron is a hyena, and Kelly is a former cheetah, Kelly Rife. I also want to speak about the fact that what has happened over in Cash, you see, the reason why it can be, and I also want to say this too, Kate Daniel Smith and Duncan Smith are doing their very best to get a handle on this, and their very best, especially in their church, on what it's doing to their church body as well. With Murray and Ash over as leaders and Cash Fire Toronto, they and them and as presidents, they have to get a handle on that. Now they have to get a handle on Raleigh. So what has happened is the fact that I contacted Homeland Security about Ash, about Murray, and about Sandra Long. Not Sandra Long, sorry, Linda Cooley. Ash has, in fact, bought body parts off of Melinda Jeffries. You go down into the basement of 272 Atwell Drive. There is a freezer. In that freezer, there are body parts that Melinda Jeffries has gotten off of hospitals, whatever. When people, after they've lynched them, she's gotten them from hospitals. She's gotten from hospitals as well. She's bought them off of hospitals, from the morgue. She's bought them off of when they're lynched. And she breaks them, and she said she gets them down to a in the freezer at 272 Atwell, as well as she puts pig's blood, and Jonas Regato brings snakes down there and rats, and that's what they're in. That's what's in there. So that's all in that freezer at 272 Atwell in the basement. Now, how it coincides with Castle Fire Rally, Melinda Jeffries gives Ash these body parts to transport over the border. Where they go from there, once Ash is transported them over the border, I contacted Homeland Security. If you were watching online today, there was a police officer that entered Castle Fire Rally looking for Murray and Ash. And also speaking about me. Melinda Jeffries, through Canada Post, when I had mailed a document, which I showed, if you go back onto probably my postings from last summer, early last summer, maybe late last summer, in this midsummer postings in regards to when Ash had said that I had a mental issue, or that was just going around that I had a mental issue. The issue, I had showed a form that I had received from St. Catherine's Niagara Health Center. I had tried to, like I stated, mail that form as well as the letter, the release letter from Castle Fire Toronto. I mailed that from Mississauga. There is someone in Canada Post. I mailed it after the postal strike. There is someone who is in Canada Post who had taken my mail and who had actually, Melinda Jeffries got a hold of this, and Melinda Jeffries, who puts on a security outfit, went into 23rd Division, and you see what's happening is people such as Melinda Jeffries, Ash, Murray, Sandra Long are all going into 23rd Division. They've launched an investigation. And you want to know something? Right on. Launch that investigation. Contact people who were my friends, like Tracy Giesbrecht. Contact my friends. Contact those people. Do your investigation. Go over to the Daily Bread Food Bank, in which they have now tried to infiltrate the food bank. And they have done that where I volunteer. Tracy Giesbrecht was told by Arlene Vandersloot that it was a day program. Excuse me, I'm going to get up just for a second. That I was in a day program. I had rented a room in Toronto, that I went to the library where Sandra Long had contacted, and Lillian Brown had contacted Toronto Regional Police over at Mimico Central Library, that Centennial Library, that I deal, of course, the methadone over there. Okay, so I had gone there. What I was doing was I'm trying to finish my insurance agent's course, which I got all 3 modules done. 1 certification. Dallas and Johnson have hacked into my computer through a remote desktop app, which I crashed their computers with. And anyways, so that's what they did. So Then Jonas Regato, who, by the way, is going around taking pay stubs from the payroll department over at Cash Fire Toronto and is telling people that 1, he's Lyndall Cooley, that 2, he's Duncan Smith, and that 3, he's John Arnott. He has the pay stubs. Not the actual paycheck, but a pay stub. So this is my volunteer shirt from Daily Bread. You can't buy these. You cannot buy these. You have to put in 50 hours. I've put in 89 as of Thursday or Wednesday. 89 hours. I will be getting another t-shirt because I'll be having at least 100 hours. Every 50 hours you get a shirt. Linda Jeffries has stated that, and so is Arlene Vandersloot, who is actually a psychologist, has a degree in psychology. I do know that. She has a degree in psychology. I think it's from Ryerson. Also, Jack Harrison was a member of the organization, and I believe it was Lisa Satchel and Kevin Jeffries who shot him at Union Station. Arlene Vandersloot has repeatedly been seen at Union Station. She sees me there on and off when I go there to go to the market, or when I pass through there to go through the subway, or at one point when I was homeless in November. She sees me there. She's there because she's looking for Jack. Jack got shot, right? He's gone. He's left this earth. In fact, anyways, so Melinda Jeffries had stated that I have to wear straps. She's stating that I have to wear straps. So Arlene Vandersloot says sometimes in a day program I have to wear straps. These are my straps. See what that says? That says peanut butter. That says Superhero Daily Bread Food Bank. That's what they are. They were given to us on Volunteer Appreciation Week, not last week, but the week before. We were given a little bag with straps if you were a volunteer over 50 hours, and we were given pens, and we were given some chocolates. I was given these because I have over 50 hours. These have to be worn. Everyone who enters that warehouse, the production hall, has to wear them for safety reasons. It's a warehouse. It's the law. You have to wear them. There's forklifts. They're going back and forth. There's, I think that's what they call them, forklifts. If you, excuse me, if you're a volunteer who is only coming in for the day, like we have corporations come in, and we have schools come in, or we have family sorts. They wear all yellow. That's what I used to wear, with the emergency strap there. If you are a support staff or have gone over 50 hours, or are what's called a table captain, which means like a little, so you know what's going on. People can ask you questions if they're new in terms of food sorting. You get these colors: orange, reflector, yellow. If you are a staff member, and if even the CEO wears them when he comes into the warehouse. If you are a staff member, if you are working in the warehouse, if you're working in the offices and you have to pass through the production hall, through the warehouses in order to get through the cafeteria for luncheon, they all have orange reflector tape, and this side is orange. So everybody has to wear it. It's not something that is it's something that is required, and it's something of the law, because people they go back and forth with those when they're loading up food, when they're getting food, when they're bringing in food, when they're bringing in frozen food, when they're bringing in skids of foods, when they're bringing in skids of frozen foods, when they're bringing in skids of whatever, when they're taking out skids, when they're bringing in taking out garbage, when they're bringing in garbage, when they're taking out, it's back and forth. You have to follow the yellow lines, the pedestrian walkways, and then when you get to a point before you cross in order to go to the restroom, or before you go to the cafeteria, because you have to line up for lunch, when it's red. Anywhere where it's red and yellow, that's where there could be a forklift whizzing through from the main warehouse where they load up and they have the trucks to where the production hall is, to where there is. So Arlene Vandersloot and now Melinda Jeffries is going around stating that I wear these because I'm in a day program. I suppose it's a program where it is one of the greatest programs, I think, in the GTA, the Daily Bread Food Bank, that was founded by sisters during the beginning of the recession in the 1980s, when the Mayor Chow, who was there, and Premier Doug Ford was there during Easter, who noticed that we are in a food crisis in our city. One of the richest cities in the world, we are in a food crisis. Now, I think that it is disgusting of Sandra Long to do a bomb threat. I think it is disgusting of Melinda Jeffries to want to take Melanie Regato down there, who, Melanie Regato, will curl her hair like mine. Now, my wig is looking pretty awful lately, but who will want to curl her hair like mine, and who will want to run around naked. That's what she did at the lobby of the Queensway Church, and that's why I can't go to the Queensway Church. She runs around naked, and she says, I am a methadone addict, and I'm a mental patient. They used to have Marie do it when I was old, when I had my hair different, and I had gained more weight. The other when I was heavier. So now they have Melanie do it. Now, I had spoken to someone, I'm going to say his name. I had spoken to Damien, who is the head of production. Him and Rob, they're the head staff members of the production. They're not. I spoken to them in regards to a member of their warehouse staff who was actually, what he was doing is Jonas Regato was bringing in crystal methadone and telling him I was a methadone addict. The person in the warehouse, I said, who is now on suspension. This individual was actually using the warehouse to transport throughout the GTA crystal methadone that was actually given to him by not Jonas Regato, but Jonas Regato knew him, given to him by someone else. Melinda Jeffries drove Melanie Regato down there because Melanie Regato is, and I will say this, is a true definition of an idiot. She cannot find her way around the city unless she is taken somewhere or unless she uses a lift. So Melinda Jeffries brought her down there and say, okay, she's going to come down here at this time, or this time, and run around naked, and pretend she's me, and get me kicked out of Daily Bread Food Bank. I told them about what Jonas Regato was doing. I told them about what Melinda Jeffries was doing. I told them about what was happening. And I told them, I was told at Daily Bread, once you enter those gates, once you enter that building, you are in a safe place. They are a place for inclusion. They are a place that does not mean, and by inclusion I mean everyone, of every race, sex, or sexual orientation, religion, and that's color as race. And that's why I'm respected. It is my community. It is my family. It is a place where people like Jonas Regato, Lisa Satchel, Melinda Jeffries, Sandra Long, Murray, Ash, Melanie Regato, and Ed Verhaven, and Marie Verhaven cannot get me. Melanie Regato and Jonas Regato had set apart 4 years ago, this past April, to ruin my life, because I would not be Jonas Regato's companion. It ended. They cannot do it anymore. However, Jonas Regato is now taking people's identifications and Melanie and Ash's big word, doctoring them, and going throughout and pretending that he is Lyndall Cooley, pretending that he is Duncan Smith. He's not using disguises, he's using just documentation, and John Arnott. He is pretending now. That's not a mental illness. That is actually very shrewd to pretend to take their paychecks from because Marie is now the president of the finance department, to take pay stubs or whatever documentation from Duncan and from John, because John Arnott still receives a paycheck from Cash Fire Raleigh, Cash Fire Toronto, and Duncan, because he's the president of the finance department, president of Cash Fire World. Both Duncan Smith and Kate Daniel Smith received their paychecks from Cash Fire Toronto. That's why Stephen Long, at one time when he was the president of the finance department, was influenced by Sandra Long to withhold their paychecks because they wanted to give me money. Back in November of 2022. That was 2022. That was 3 years ago now. Melanie Regato has been known, however, as someone, she's going around saying she's a queen. Melanie Regato, we know, is part of the organization. Why would someone who's a member of the organization go around saying they're a queen? We have spoken about the different levels of authority before. I've spoken about how now that Jessica's a jackal and Justin Rife is a hyena and Aaron Nibber is a hyena as well. That's how they retain certain statuses, so to speak, in their organization. What it is that they do certain things. There's a level of how many individuals, and I say, make leave this earth because I do not want to invoke the spirit of death. There's a level of what they do in terms of how many children then they can physically molest and how many children that they can actually do what they're doing in terms of putting rat's tails up their anus, or now what's going on at Catch Fire Raleigh with Murray bringing cobra heads over the border to put cobra heads in the vaginas of young girls and put cobra heads in the buttocks of young boys. See how it connects? Melanie there was at one point a pentagram in Catch Fire in the 268 Atwell, but Mrs. Carol Arnott came in and made her scrub it out. It wasn't blood. Melanie went in. She was branded. Melanie was branded. To be a branded woman in the organization, you are known as a queen. And because Melanie is an idiot, and because Melanie has been fed drugs, and because Melanie has little brain, she walks around saying she's a queen. And now that is going to get her every single person in the member of the organization after her. She's not a queen. When Melanie would say to me, "Oh, come on, join us, you could be a queen," I will never be a queen. I am a daughter of the King Most High. And I am. And I know what status I am. I don't need to know what status I am in an organization and walk around and do things like Aaron today. He walked around, he was wearing black track pants. Those black track pants underneath had a snake on his leg. Jessica became, that's why. I'm under investigation, and I'm actually repeatedly told that I do have because they took those farms, and Melinda took those farms and brought them into 23rd Division and had stated I had a pre-existing mental illness. The only thing I'd actually had, and there's, I think I ripped it, I may still have it, was from Credit Valley Hospital, and it stated that I was in a housing crisis. That was when I was homeless. I had housing instability. I was seen by a psychiatrist there at Credit Valley Hospital. I've also been seen by counselors and psychiatrists over at SHIP. I had a housing crisis. I was also, at one point in November of 2022, because I didn't have any money, I didn't know where my life was going, and I didn't, at one moment, I had a fleeting thought of throwing myself in front of a train over a Long Branch. But the only thing that saved me was the thought of what would Lara and Jasmine find out. How would they find out? What would happen? As well as Doug and Kate. There's Kate. Them. Because they helped me a lot that summer. So, and that's why. And that's all. And the other thing is when I was in the Father's house, that's what it was called. When I was in the Father's house, they asked me to see a counselor or a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist had stated at that time, Michelle Verhaven does not trust people. Michelle Verhaven does not trust people and will not talk because she does not trust. Michelle Verhaven has repeatedly been betrayed by those who she has trusted and those who she has loved. And that's all. So investigate me. I will not be arrested. I've had the Toronto Regional Police over following me around all the time. Investigate me. Yeah. But when the proverbial, and I'm going to say it, the proverbial shit hits the fan, and I go down to the basement of 272 Atwell, what are you going to do with the freezer? What are you going to do with the freezer? Ashes and Murray, their luggage has already been searched. Linda Cooley has already been searched at the border. And I know for a fact that and Duncan has repeatedly said this to me, if I had anything that what I was saying was not true, he himself would send the police and or his bodyguard, to have me brought down to the police station, have me arrested, and have me charged. This has been going on. I've been doing these postings for, I think, since May of last year. Any and all information I'm getting is the truth. And they know that. And people are running scared. And so now, with Heidi Baker is serious and sends me an email, she has my email address, and sends me an invitation, then I will go. Where he says go, I will go. Where he says stay, I will stay. And I will continue to, in the meantime, look for a job. That was the other thing that Jonas Regato and Melanie Regato and Melinda Jeffries had said they were going to do. Jonas Regato, that's why I applied for jobs at the Daily Bread Food Break. I've applied for jobs as a business over in this area. And Melanie is saying, I'm not giving up. I'm the queen. I'm going to make sure that her life is ruined. She's also issuing death threats. She's issuing death threats to Duncan. She's issuing death threats to Jonas. And she's walking around issuing death threats to Melinda Jeffries. Now, you see, to be a queen is one thing. There are many queens. Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth, Queen of Scots, Mary Queen of Scots. There are different queens, and all those real queens who had their thrones were queens who ruled very well. Empress, which is not queen, Catherine, the Empress of Russia. Those are all women who were in authority, who were royalty, and who are now have left this earth. And I will tell you that the Catherine, Empress of Russia, she is a queen of prosperity. Queen Elizabeth is the queen of protection in Britain. Mary, Queen of Scots, is when I say queen, I said angels. Angel of enlightenment, Mary, Queen of Scots. Queen Elizabeth, angel of protection. And the Empress, Catherine, Empress of Russia, the angel of prosperity. You see, we have royalties, and we have royalty, and then there's them. So there it is. She's also going around telling people she's my friend, of which she is. She was at one point. She was my friend, or I thought she was. She only became my friend because Jonas Regato wanted to be my companion, and that couldn't have worked ever. Even if remotely I would have liked Jonas Regato. I mean, realistically speaking, I'm 55 years old. I'm over 20 years older than the guy. So that right there ruins a clause, right? Yeah. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful Sunday for the rest of the day. And to all you moms out there, I have a spiritual mom down in North Carolina. Duncan's mom and dad have adopted me as their spiritual daughter, who they haven't met yet. But I wish Mom Smith a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day, and Duncan better pamper the socks off of her, because he tries her patience. And I also want to wish my Nigerian sister my Nigerian sister a happy Mother's Day. Man alive, she's got 5 kids she has to look after, and she does it very well, and she does it to the best of her knowledge, bringing them out of Nigeria to Canada and having them settle here and getting them all situated in schooling. And I would also like to wish a happy Mother's Day to Kate Daniel Smith. She is a mom and a grandma, or rather, I think, a Mimi Steak. I would like to wish her. She does it very well. She loves her grandkids. She loves her new granddaughter. She loves her daughters, and she has done a wonderful job of raising her grandkids and a wonderful job of raising her daughters. And Kate, I love you very much, and I know you're watching this and hearing this, and I hope you have a glorious, wonderful day and rest and rest. And I noticed that she took a picture of her feet where she had a pedicure. She should be given a full spa day after this conference and after traveling back from New Zealand and after traveling back from Oklahoma. Thank you.